Hi church, my name is Suzanne and I'm going to be looking at John 9 verses 1 to 23 about the man born blind. It's going to come on the screen now, so if you want to read along with it, just pause and read that. Okay, so there's two things that I thought we should consider. Firstly, Jesus himself says that the purpose of this man's struggle was to display God's glory. So this was a public miracle. This wasn't something where he said, don't go and tell anybody, or that it happened behind closed doors. This was meant to display God's glory, wasn't it? And often, we all have struggles, don't we? And it is really difficult to accept, especially when we don't know why and we're not really understanding the purposes of them and behind them. And sometimes we do have to actually think, okay, well, we live in an imperfect, fallen world, but God's glory can still be displayed, can't it? And Nick often refers, doesn't he, to living in the tension. And that is about living with the hope that Jesus gives and the promises that he provides about a life lived with him, but also trying to cope with the grief and hardships and battles of life, isn't it? But if you think of every history lesson you've ever been taught, victory doesn't come unless a battle has been fought. And it's a great reminder, this story, isn't it, that we can give God the glory in our struggles, because his power, his goodness will be seen at some point. Potentially it might be a way away, but his glory will be seen. If we think about the book of Revelation that we've been studying again, we know the outcome, we know the end, we know Jesus has the victory, and therefore so do we. And the second point I wanted to think about was that it says in verse 4 that Jesus says, as long as this is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. We must do the works. We are all called to the Great Commission, it's called, isn't it, in Matthew 28. And we all have a part to play in making these disciples of all nations, of introducing Jesus to people, of welcoming them into a life lived with Jesus. And in verse 7 it says that the word Siloam means sent. There's a bit of debate about how far this man had to travel to get to this pool to wash and do what Jesus has asked him, but actually how far he needed to travel is completely irrelevant, because he still had to have the faith to go. And that's the same for us, isn't it? Often things just aren't making sense, but we have to have the faith to do what we feel God's called us to do, to say what we feel as though God might have put in our hearts to say to somebody, or to pray as we might feel in our spirit to pray for certain things. We have to have the faith that actually our eyes will be open to his power, his glory, his goodness, and that actually other people will see that too, because people see that as Christians we live differently and we fight our battles differently, don't we? So I hope that's helped today, just a little reminder that actually victory cannot be claimed unless a battle has been fought. Keep fighting through with faith. Jesus was sent for you and for me, and we all have a calling to do the works of God. Don't let your doubts or your abilities in any way exclude you from that. We all have a part to play, and often small things can actually have the longest impact. Okay, God bless everyone. Bye.